Okay, so welcome officially to the Abundance Effect training with Miranda Marriott. I'm really excited about this one because I train a lot on the energetics of abundance. I train a lot on this work, but tonight I've really refined it down to the very key elements that is just the most crucial. That's okay. Oh, good. It's the most crucial elements that have really catapulted my life. And I learned all of these things about 5 years ago. And I say a lot of the time, and I will share a bit more on the journey later, there was a before this moment and an after. And there was literally a few moments and within a month where my life dramatically changed. And I was 33 years old, and it was just a drawing through the line in the sand. And basically the abundance effect came into my life. I learned about my power. I learned about my true nature. I learned about my intuitive genius. And I learned about how to create abundance from within myself, with magic, with power within myself. And before that, I felt completely powerless. And you'll hear about my journey later. But it was a point where it was like my whole life had been struggling with lack and limitation and blocks and struggle town. And then it was just a space of more love and abundance. Not to say that I never had any issues or challenges, or of course, right, when we're creating, but it was completely different. It was a lot more in ease and flow. And I will tell you more about it. But that's what tonight's about, the abundance effect. And how do we create the life of our dreams, become the person we've been meant to be, our true nature, and have abundance of all areas, not just with money and business, but with health, with love, with all that we desire. Like, how can we just create it all and experience it all and have that fulfillment that we desire? Does anyone want that here? Yeah? Good. So that we're talking tonight about the abundance effect. And, the most fundamental thing that I want to say here at the beginning, before I go into my story and the learning that you're going to learn after this, is that energy is key. We are more energetic beings than we are physical. If you've learned anything about the quantum field, you would know that we actually are made up more of atoms and like these energetic particles and things, more so than the actual physical components of us. They actually compare it to a basketball, and the thin layer of the physical component, then most of it is air. Most of energy, in the whole of the universe, is dark space, dark energy. Like it's energy. It's not actually physical matter. And because we're such physical beings and we live in such a physical world, and even the way that the Western world as well operates, we forget that. But if you're going to take anything away from tonight, the first thing I want you to understand is energy is key. And there's a couple of keys that I'm going to teach you that unlock your energy code, that unlock the abundance effect. And that's what I'm going to teach you. But the first thing is you need to understand your energetic frequency, your energetic world, what is happening within your being right now. That is the most important force on the planet. And a lot of the time, and I'd love you to ask yourself this, honestly, like, and you may be like, yeah, Miranda, I'm amazing with this, or you might not, or maybe I have in the past, but I'm not right now. If you were to look at your life honestly and take a stock and go, how much do I prioritize my energetic field? How much do I prioritize how my state, my focus, my consciousness, versus just trying to work in and respond to outside events and your physical actions? And if you were to give it a number, even try to percentage it, right? If you were to try and do this on a percentage, like, do you prioritize your energetic field, like, and invest time, energy, money, like 90% in it, or 60 or 20, or like what? Just you get a number, it'll come to your mind. And, you can put it in the chat if you want, or you can just keep it to yourself. It's up to you. But just be honest, like, with yourself. Like, do you live life like your energetic frequency is your most important, potent piece? Because I know for me, for a long time, for 33 years of my life, but even when I started to learn this stuff, still struggled sometimes to prioritize this world, even though I knew after time, like, this is the most important, right? And it's just important to really, really great, to see and just be honest with yourselves, because when we take stock of the honest of right now is when we can move forward and pivot, right? So I'm going to show you this, and you may have seen my video when I was doing this. I'm just going to turn my light up a bit, but I want to show you this because this really demonstrates this, okay? And if you haven't, have you guys seen me do these rods? Has everyone seen it? I'm going to reiterate this, and it's great for you to do these too if you've not ever done it. These are literally straightened out coat hangers. They're just metal coat hangers, and I've just straightened them out and then made a little bend at the end. And I put a straw on the end here, so I'm not touching the metal. But I've got ones that have got just the metal, and it works on all. You can buy dowsing rods on eBay as well, but this is the homemade version. So I'm just going to show you this, physically, practically, right? And do excuse how dark this is. I got a spray tan because I got my party. It's my birthday, so I've got my party on Saturday. So I got a spray tan. I haven't washed it off yet, so it won't look like this tomorrow, but this is just the thing of getting spray tan. Anyway, just to be honest, let you know why I'm looking so funny with my color. So here is these rods, right? And I'm going to show you how important energy is and how important our frequency is. So I'm going to show you what happens when I tune into an abundant frequency, when I tune into love, the frequency of love, okay? And when I'm doing that, you'll just watch what happens to the rods. So I'm not going to move my hands. I'm just going to keep them still. All right. So I love travel. I absolutely love travel. I love going and venturing all around the world and just seeing most beautiful places, and especially with my son, to actually go with him and take him to the places in the world and just show him and open him up to the world and just see his grin and his happy face like light up with adventure and learning about culture and going with family and friends and then even retreats, and going on with clients and transforming them. Like, it's just so incredible. I love it. Love, love, love. This is just completely, I don't know if you saw it moving, but it just completely opened, right? It's moved all the way out, okay? Now, I'm going to focus on what I lack and fear, okay? Or just something I don't have, don't want, all that. So, see, instantly it's starting to move as soon as I tune into it. But I really have an issue with the coaching industry at times. Not everyone, but there's some people that I've experienced because I've had lots of mentors and programs, and people of my clients have had them. And just people who market and really just want to have money, and they don't actually care about people. They don't care about their souls, or like they do use people. And I find it all the time, and they can manipulate, and they can actually have some really horrible practices that they do and traumatize people even. But they're just not in service, and they're not there for love. They're actually there to hurt, and they may not intend it, but their actions are damaging and hurting people. And it makes the coaching industry sometimes look really bad. It really hurts me. So this is just completely crossed over the other way. So it's completely closed. Did you see that as it went? So that is showing you, sorry, I've got to move my seat back. Actually, tell me what you see. You can unmute or you can put it in the chat. What do you see and what do you get when I show you that? Powerful to see, read about it, but it's unreal, yes. And you even like do it yourself at home if you can make that little, or buy a dowsing rod. But it is incredible. I actually did it the other day. I had a trigger and I was like quite upset about it. And I just put them in my hands and I didn't even have to do anything. It just went to that position of closed. Like, so it's just like showing you like where your frequency is right there. Right. Does anyone want to unmute? Tell me what they get, what they see. Or you can put in the chat.
I'll unmute if that's all right. Yeah. So it's that, for me, watching that is that field opening up, like the expansion of the good things, and actually pushing that out, and also being able to receive that in. Whereas when you were talking about the negative, the energy field collapses, doesn't it? It kind of comes in.
Yeah, it closes. It opens or it closes. We're open for life and business, and we're a magnet, or a shut, and we're repelling. So we're attracting and alluring, or we're repelling with our energy, right? Yeah, very good, hun. How much being in a positive orientation focus opens up your energy and receiving? Yes. So we've got two modes. We have two modes of operation. You have like on and off. You're on or you're off. Your energetic field's on and open and, abundant, receiving, drawing, alluring, attracting, like a beautiful aroma, to all of life and opportunities and possibilities and or you're closed, shut, off, repelling, pushing away, struggle town, right? And whatever your energy is, depending on pleasant or unpleasant, I am recording. Yes, I do. Thanks for checking though, hon. That's very nice. So wherever your focus is, and often it's whether you're focusing on what you want or what you have, and you're a have, not, or you focus on what you don't want or don't have, and you're a have not. So we're either a have or we're a have not. We define ourselves by what we have and what we want, and really high vibe experiences of who we are and our life and everything, or our experiences, or we're defining us and our life and other people in this limited, lacking, I don't want this, I don't have that, I don't want to experience this, all the fear, right? And depending on what your mode is, depending on where you're on, if you're on or off, will dictate and change what happens in your life, right? So I'm just going to show you this little diagram. You may have seen this before, but this is an emotional guidance scale. And it's actually like they measure energetic frequencies. So a lot of this is like quantum physics. It's actually like science that's measured, and they've got all these tools to measure this, right? So this isn't just woo-woo made up things. Like this has actually been incredibly researched. But I'm going to just make us small. So this is the emotional guidance scale. You can see that little blue thing now. Yeah. So we see here, this is the two modes, right? This is the on mode and the high frequency. And then this other one down below is the off mode. And the above is abundance and love, and the below is lack and fear, right? And when we're in the low frequency of any of these emotions, now I never call them negative, and I'll talk more about that later. They're unpleasant. They're not negative. Every emotion's beneficial, positive, has a message, has a lesson. So they're just unpleasant. These are unpleasant and these are pleasant. These are lower frequency. They're dense. They get us more in our human and our survival frequency. They get us in force, depletion, weakening, contraction, limited, resistance, sabotage, struggle, dis-ease. They get us more there, or they get us in the high frequency, energy, power, recharge, refresh, expansion, elevation, allowing, alignment, flow, ease, right? That's the open to life, and everything starts to be easeful and flow, and like we have that. Or it's depleting. And I don't know about you, but even recently when I got the dowsing rods out the other day and I was feeling quite upset by something, a trigger, I actually physically was weak. I don't know if you've seen that before. You've noticed when you're really in a state of shame or guilt or fear or sadness or whatever it is, that it weakens your body, and it weakens your ability to be creative, to be inspired, to have opportunities. You try and even go for things, take action if you have any energy to do that, and you can't. And this is the thing, these frequencies aren't just what the abundance effect isn't just what these emotional states bring out for people, right? They're not just that our emotional state actually affects what happens on the outside, they affect our actions. Because you think about it, when you're in shame, do you want to go and market to the world and go, hey, everyone, look at me, I'm an amazing coach, I've got a great business? Like, you want to run away and hide, right? Whereas if you're in bliss, you want to flip, and I do story after story, shout out to the rooftops, like, and I'll be in love with having time with my son, or like, you're in bliss. And then you actually start, so your actions change too, not just what you match for and what you energetically draw in. So what I'm trying to say here, though, is that our whole life really needs to be quite dedicated to knowing and working on whether we're on or off. Because if you think of a machine or a robot or like a vacuum or whatever, if it's off, can it do its job? Like, can it function? Like, it can't, right? So it blows my mind. I'm saying this to myself because I've been doing this for years. I've got that much evidence of this, right? But I still sometimes don't prioritize my energetic field at moments, not very long, because I often find out very easily what some shit's going down or whatever. And I'm like, oh, hang on. But, we can still try and do all this like action on the outside or strategies or all these, and we're just off. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's not going anywhere, right? And I'm going to tell you some stories about this. So when I was, as I said, that 33 years that everything changed, but before that, I, was trying to have this loving relationship with my, my husband at the time and all these things, trying to like find the person who would commit to me for life, like trying to do all these actions, like we're right. But I end up, when I'm 6 months pregnant, uncovering that he's cheating on me. And, I was pregnant and we couldn't work it through. And so we had to break up. And my life went to like dismal bottom. It didn't matter what I tried to do. I tried to study psychology. I tried to like do all this stuff to get away from the fear, because I had a fear that I'd be divorced or cheated on. Or I try to like, choose the right person who would commit to me, some good committed person. Like I tried to do all the actions, do all the things I could on the outside, but because I hadn't shifted the energetic, I was sitting for most of our relationship, for most of my, teenagehood, 20s, when we went up to 20, I was sitting in fear. I was sitting in the frequency of fear. I was sitting in the frequency of, shame or unworthiness, all this stuff. And so a part of my energetic and also my actions co-created that with him. And it didn't matter what I tried to do on the outside and what I tried to learn and study or whatever. That experience happened at the worst time it could, as a co-creation from me. And then I started to pick myself back up, and like I wanted to start my business at the same time. And I ended up, when my son was 6 weeks old, somehow using the psychology practices, using counseling and coaching and things I'd done, and actually really starting to pour love into myself. And I started to pick myself back up a little bit. And I started my business when my son was 6 weeks old. Now, for 3 years, I worked so hard in that business. I spent $300,000 on mentor after mentor, program after program, like strategy after strategy, mostly strategy coaches, trying to make consistent money for my son and I, just to live, and to have, I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be a coach since I was 16, so I wanted to do my dream. I wanted to be who I wanted to be. I wanted to support people and then have time to be with my son and have money for that, right? But for 3 years, I tried to study everything, do everything on the physical world, in the material strategy, action world. But I could never break through to this 10K month, no matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I worked, no matter how much I did what the coaches told me to do. And I got to a point when I was 3 bit years into my business, when after trying everything, and I was spending $5,000 a month on these coaches, that were telling me what to do. For 4 months, I had no clients. I did 20 sales calls. Every single person said no. Why? Why was I doing all the stuff? Action, strategy, doing everything that they said, but it wasn't working because my energy was closed. I didn't even know about the energy world, but I was in shame about where I was. I was in fear. I was completely scared about becoming a homeless single mom on the poverty line. And I got to $20,000 in debt, and I actually nearly created that experience also, because of the level of fear and lack that I was vibrating at. So even if I was doing these actions, I was doing them with shame and doing them with uncertainty. So people could sense that. I was doing them desperately, trying to get money from people. They could sense that. People, we're energetic beings, right? You can sense energy with people. You know what's really behind what they say, or like what, we know, right? It's the first language we learn as children, is our energy. We don't learn our language, how to speak, but we learn feeling and energy, and we know how things feel, and we know what's undercurrent, right? So I was on these sales calls, my energy was completely off, and people could tell. So they're not going to say yes, and I'm in lack. So even the things I'm doing aren't really smart things. They're just survival panic things. So my actions aren't even very aligned and creative. I'm in lack because I think that this coach outside of me has these answers and they're the guru, and I completely don't listen to my intuition and what I'm thinking, right? And luckily, right at the brink of like the worst point in my life, I learned about the energy realm. I learned about this that I'm teaching you that same month. And I straight away start applying it, and I start listening to myself and my intuition and seeing that I'm a powerful person. I don't need necessarily just these coaches that are telling me strategies that actually were killing my business, because they were so not me. They were not aligned, right? So I brought my power back to myself. I brought myself back to a sense of abundance and love for myself. I started loving my clients and the potential people in my field, because I wasn't loving them when I was obsessed with money and freaking out. I couldn't serve them. So I started focusing on service and of love and abundance in serving and value adding and focusing on just giving that value, right? So again, my energy started to shift to abundance. I started to see abundance in myself and my power. I started to see abundance. I wanted to serve and give value. And I started to see abundance all around me. Even though I didn't have abundance on my bank account, I started to see it in the trees, in the ocean. Like the world is abundant. Me, thousands of years ago, I'm a king and queen. Hundreds of years ago, living in a house with some stuff around me and a fridge. Like in different countries, I'm considered still a queen, with what I had, right? So I started to be in the frequency of abundance. I would feel the fears and then go back to the frequency of abundance, feel the worries and all, let myself be honest about that. But then I'd go back to abundance. And in that month of just changing my energy, actually working on my energetic field, shifting my energy from lack and fear and what I don't want and don't have and who I'm not and blah, 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 to who I am, what I do have, what I do want, abundance, love. And literally, it was like a seesaw. I went from the 20K debt to 20K a month. And that was 4 years ago now, nearly 5. And I've never had that experience ever again. Ever again. After 33 years of the same problems and stuff and lack in relationships, lack in money, lack in business, lack in jobs, lack in, fears manifesting all the time, nightmares. I've never had it again. Now, I'm not saying I haven't had challenges. I haven't had things haven't worked out, whatever. Of course. But I've been able to keep rising in and using the tools that I've learned now. And I'm going to teach you how to get back into abundance, how to get back to what I want, how to get back to creating. But it happened because I went underneath the surface and I shifted the abundance effect. I used the abundance effect. I shifted from lack and fear to love and abundance. I'd love to hear what your key takeaway is so far. Put it in the chat or unmute, because I'm about to go unpack that more and teach you like what I actually did, how to practice this. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you first. What are you hearing? What's landing? And as I said, you can unmute or you can. I've got a lot more other stories that are going to help you understand this as well. I'm just going to turn this light up a little bit. So tell me, what are your thoughts? What are you learning? That I have it inside of me to make this change. Yes. You're a have. You're not a have not for sure. Yes, hun, go for it.
Yeah, you explain it really, really clear. But the being, it's much more about the being versus the doing.
Yes. Yeah. And if, you can do all the things in the world. Now, again, I've got so many stories of this, right? You can do all the things like I was, right? And I've even tried to spend just $20,000 on ads or whatever. But if I'm not in alignment, even my team, if I just spend money on ads or like, if I'm not in energetic alignment, my team, my sales team, my marketing team, like none of it works, It always comes back to when I'm in alignment. And again, we go, but you think, but I should be able to. No, you're off. You can be trying to do stuff, but you're off. Your life force energy, like your magnetic energy, your abundant energy within you is off. So you can dance around all you like, but it's not doing anything because you've closed. You're shut shop. You're off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Love that takeaway. Thanks, hon. Who else? Tell me your takeaway, and you can put it in the chat if not. It's good for your mind to help you see what you're learning and to reiterate it when you just, type it out or what, it just tells you what am I getting? Being closed versus being open. Love how you very simplified it. Makes sense. Yeah, that's it. And we I've spent over 800K in like coaches and mentors and programs and whatever. So I done many a thing, right? And a lot of them like to complicate it. And a lot of even energetic people and things I find too do. And it's like, what I'm going to tell you today, you're going to be like, what? Really? Like, wow. But that's what I love about it the most is that it is so actually like simple. It's difficult to keep doing and applying and, because we want to keep going off track, but it's actually not complicated. It's not that complicated. It's just that we complicate it and then we don't end up doing it. We got to get to the core energetic Because as I said, it changed, and I could tell you all these experiences that happened, and there's the same core mechanism, the same core keys behind it. So I'm excited to tell you what they are. I am off a lot. Time to go back on. Yes, Miss Claire. Turn you on. Let's go on. Love the chart. Very easy to see. Yes. Yeah. And we have a set point. I mean, I could talk about all this for years. I love all this stuff, but we often have a set point too, where you will range and you would typically stay around there. And so we've got practices and tools to start raising your set point, right? But yeah, beautiful. All right. So let's keep going into this. So basically, now what I'm going to tell you is the three keys that are like going to unlock the abundance effect in your life. It's like the three keys that you're going to switch on and your car's going to go and you're boom, you're on, right? So the first one is, and I'm going to sort of lead you through some experiences with this as well, is your need to expose the key fear. The key fear. Because when you're in the lower half of that lack and you're in that state of, fear or lack, thinking at what you don't have, don't want, all of that, your energy is leaking down there. It's like you're just depleting, leaking energy, leaking power. And you really need to unlock the core fear. It's not actually all of them. You can unlock all of them if you like, but there's actually quite a fundamental core root fear that once you unlock that one, it will shift. But if you move all these things, but you don't get to that, it won't. Right? So I'm going to tell you an example. In Bali, I was in my retreat in Bali around this time last year, actually. And I was showing my clients, I've got this little magic trick that we do with a potato. And I should have brought it here, but you have a raw potato and you put a flimsy, crappy plastic or paper or whatever straw through it, right? Now, I've done it on sweet potatoes and stuff. It's physically impossible. Imagine a full massive, and I could show you guys a photo if you want later, but, a big sweet potato, raw. I've put a flimsy plastic or paper straw through a sweet potato. Do you guys believe me? I've done it, right? So in this retreat in Bali, I'm showing the girls this, and it's a very important lesson for what I teach with energy and alchemy and magic, right? Now I'm sitting there showing them. Now I can't get the thing through. Now when I'm in like online or whatever, I've done it and I can do it because I'm in my own space and but I hadn't actually done it in person before, like with other people. And I got all afraid and fear and like all this stuff was coming up for me, right? So I'm like 15 straws in and still not getting it through. And usually like it goes straight through and I'm like, and I was sitting there like, oh my goodness. Now I'm doing the process I usually do and it wasn't working. And I was like, oh shit, like this looks so bad. Like they paid all this money to come to my Bali retreat. I'm showing them magic and I'm not even showing them, right? So anyway, I get to the point where I'm like, okay, Miranda, like what is the core fear? Because I'd looked at fears and I'd released some, but I hadn't hit the nail on the head. I hadn't hit the core one, right? And what I realized is, I'm like, Miranda, I said the intention, I was like, well, what's the core fear? Let's not fluff around anymore. What's the core? And instantly I was like, I'm afraid of being in the shadow of the alchemist, which is a snake oil salesman. I'm selling fluff and smoke and it's not real, right? And so that fear of the alchemist came out and I was like, wow, and I'm like, this is what I'm proving to them. I'm proving them that it's not real. It's not right? And as soon as I exposed that fear, I went back and imagined the potato and like put it through and bang, it went straight through. Because my power was being leaked to that fear and it wasn't within me. It was there. But until I could be conscious, all I had to be was aware of it and conscious of it. I didn't have to do anything else. I didn't have to start reframing and reconditioning and I just had to see it. And it stopped the leakage. It plugged the hole and then boom, I got my power back, right? Interestingly, on that Bali retreat as well, at the beginning of launching it, this was my first overseas retreat that I'd run. I was really preoccupied and afraid that like my reputation on my business would look bad and it would go down and like no one would come and how bad would that be? And so I was launching and like putting the 20K on ads and all the things, doing the actions, but my fear was leaking the energy. And it didn't matter what I was doing. People weren't signing up. No one was doing it. I think I had one or not even. right? This was like a month of launching. And I was like, okay, what's my fear here? And I really sat down with myself, got to the core fear, and it was like, well, I'm afraid of looking like my brand and my reputation, my image. I was afraid of my image and what was going to happen to my brand, I was afraid of my image and reputation getting gone to crap. And as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, well, look, Miranda, like, what do you want this for? You want it because you want to travel and you want to transform? It's like, go with your family if you don't have anything else, or just take one person. Like, you want to travel and transform. One person's still travel and transforming, like, Oh, okay. And I let the fear go, and then I just went back to what I really want here. Like, what's this actually about? Bang. People started joining up straight away. Had a full Bali retreat. Same thing happened in Fiji. I just ran a Fiji retreat a month ago, something. And again, 6 weeks, whatever, doing all the marketing, doing all the actions, like taking, action. People weren't signing up. People were interested. I was having calls but no one was signing up. I sat with myself again. I'm like, okay, all right, what's the key fear here? I was realizing, so this retreat was on money, and I was teaching them all about abundance, money, business. I was realizing, like, I was afraid of losing because I paid a lot more for this retreat, and I paid a bigger deposit, and like I'd put my money down. I was worried that I was going to lose the money, and I was trying to back out. I was trying to find if I could get a refund. I was trying to make back out of deciding, right? And I'm like, how are they going to decide if my energy is indecisive and not backing it either? I'm trying to play it safe. How on earth are they? And so I then went, F that, bang, back into like, I know I want this, I choose it. I kid you not, 3 days after I had that 5-minute conversation with myself and did this, the whole retreat was full in 3 days after 6 weeks of nothing. Do you girls understand? I have thousands of stories like this, right? The first key, now I'm going to talk to the others, but the first key is you need to unlock the key fear. You need to expose it. You need to just by doing that, plug the hole, stop the energy leaking. Because you're like anchored, if you're looking at that chart again, you're anchored in at shame, or you're anchored at fear, or you're anchored, that's where you're anchored. So if you're anchored there, you can't propel forward to the vision. You need to unhook from the anchor. You think of a pirate ship, trying to grapple onto another pirate ship, and this one's burning to flames. You're scared. You got to unhook from this one to get over there. You can't just hook over there. You got to unhook. You got to unhinge. You got to leap out of this one to there, right? So just to apply this for you ladies now so that you can do this, I'd love you to look at something that you would love to create or manifest, or, it could be 3 new clients. It could be a retreat. It could be a program you're trying to begin to launch, whatever. It could be a love life thing. It doesn't have to be business, it could be anything. But just tune into right now, like, what would you like to work on? And we're going to work on this for this whole session. Something that you want to create, you want to manifest. So choose something, be specific. Mine, I would probably do something like a couple more of my people from my alchemy program, or my magnetism one, or probably what I'd be doing right now. But, you look at what you would. And what you're going to do with this is you're going to imagine stepping into a circle. I want you to just imagine stepping into a circle. And at the beginning, you could just start saying, like, the truth is, and I want you to actually just start writing out, like, what is just the truth of your current feeling right now, your current fears. Like, just start, like, writing everything that comes to you. Just start letting, like, what's the truth of the right now, the fear, the blocks, the limitations, the worries, the attachments. I just want you to start writing everything just quickly that comes to you. I'll give you a minute or so to do that. Okay, we're just writing what's our core fear. Core fear, blocks, limitations around something that we want to manifest, to create something specific. Okay, now as you're starting to write there, you could keep after this as well, keep going and keep writing. But I want you to really set that intention, like in this circle that you're going to see what's the core fear? What's the underlying fear block here? Yeah. Shame. What if you found out winging it? Yep. Yeah, and you can write it here or you can keep it to yourself. It's up to you. But sit and ask that and see what comes up in that circle. And you may, want some more time after this call and you might dive into this more. But I can tell you, if someone's not creating what they want, they're missing one of these 3 steps. That's quite simply what it is. And the moment that you can expose and unanchor from the core fear is the moment that you begin to get your power back into creating what you want and not creating what you don't want. My rods are closing. Yeah. Teach about power, but I'm powerless. Yeah. When you write all that out. Yeah, when you write it out. But the thing is, there's some people in the manifesting world, they're like, oh, don't low vibe anything, keep high vibe, whatever. Your unconscious is closing, and the process of exposing this and giving it light is that it actually loses its power, right? So at the beginning of, my work with clients, sometimes they come to me and they're like, oh, I didn't know we're meant to do low vibe stuff, whatever. It's like, yes, because you are. Unconsciously, you are anyway. And if you're not conscious about it, it's got the power. As I said with that potato, I was leaking my power and I didn't know where it was going until I saw it. Then I got my power back, right? So it's BS. The truth is one of the highest vibrational frequencies. And you need to be, and if you're thinking about this in terms of a car, and we're in point A here, wherever you're living right now, and you want to go off on holiday to Whitsundays or wherever I want to go, I need to know exactly the location in my sat nav where I am. If I just say Australia, it doesn't flip a no, If I say Melbourne, it's got no way of directing me anywhere. I can't go anywhere if I don't know exactly where I am right now. So it's confronting. It doesn't feel nice. It's, your rod's closed, but that's how you open. I use this analogy with clients all the time. We just talked about the Archer and the Sagittarius energy. What's an Archer do? It goes back before forward. It goes into resistance to go forward. If you do not go into the resistance, if you don't go into the truth, if you're too then you cannot go forward, right? And this is one issue, and I'll tell you, one of the issues I see, there's if in this zone, in the zone of fear and truth, right? Just the truth of right now, the current reality. People have 2 problems that they have come with this, that's why they don't move forward. One is they're in denial of the truth and they can't go here, and they're Pollyanna and they try and be high vibe and they can't go here. So they unconsciously are leaking energy and they don't see it. Now, when I'm saying this, I'd love you to think, which one am I? The other version of people, and you can fluctuate between these, is that they just swamp here and they stay put here. So instead of setting the sat nav of where they want to go, they just stay in the garage and they don't go anywhere. And they swamp and park and just swim in their crap, So if you were to say you're one or the other, if you were to, I'm a swamper or I'm a denier, what are we going to call them? Swamper. We've got a few swampers, I think. Yeah, swamper. It's good to know your pattern, right? Because this is where we can be free. Because if we're swamping and staying stuck here and we don't do the other steps, we're not going to move forward. But if we don't do this step, we're not moving forward, right? So I can feel this changing already. Just writing this out has helped me realize I don't need to fear people rejecting me, as I'll never be alone. Have your husband, kids. Yeah. But even then, hun, we're never actually afraid of the thing itself. We're afraid of what we judge it to mean, what we make it mean. So I used to be afraid of divorce, right? And being cheated on. Why? Because I thought everyone then think I'm an ugly, unlovable, expose me as that. But when I started defining what happened and what was as different and why, then it didn't matter that it happened. Like I didn't mind losing my husband. It actually has made me who I am now, and I wouldn't be who I am. I couldn't coach you right now if I didn't have that happen. It's one of the biggest lessons of my life. So I'm actually as strong as I am because of that. I don't think I would be here without that experience, right? So that's super powerful, and I'm actually quite invincible. So then nothing can happen in my life that will take my power away. I just get stronger, you know? So yeah, no, everyone's judgment is not actually what we're afraid of. We're just afraid of our own judgment. Because if you were to say, you know, Miranda, you're, you know, really weird color brown right now, like I'd be like, yeah, okay, I don't care. Like I've got bronzer I haven't washed off, right? You know, like it's like, cool, doesn't bother me. So you know, you can have an issue with it, but I don't care. Like the issue is within us, the insecurity, right? But if it's not there, then it doesn't matter. So yeah, I love that you raised that point. Okay, let's keep going. So that's the first step. Okay. Second step is your key desire. You need to unlock your key desire. Okay. Now, what, you know, an anchor onto the key desire, have that real excitement that your soul is yearning, and it's your true excitement, not your ego, your soul's excitement. Because if your ego is hooked onto something, it ends up just blocking it, getting in the way. Like for instance, at one point in my business, before I learned a lot of this work, I used to want $40,000 months, right? So I started trying to manifest $40,000 months and whatever. But the more I focused on that, because it was a bit more egoic as to why I wanted it and things, the worse my money went and the worse it happened, because it wasn't a soul desire. My soul desire was to have 10 women join my alchemy program when I first launched it, and for them to be transformed and to become their powerful person. That was my soul's desire. And guess what happened when I kicked into my soul's desire and I kicked into like transforming women's lives and connecting with them and having this beautiful relationship with them and seeing their change at the end? I had $100,000 month and launch, much beyond what I thought I could before, because it was my soul's excitement and desire that's the most powerful force on the planet. It's actually love. The ego is coming from fear and lack. Do you girls get that? So when I started to break through at the beginning at that 20K point, you know, what happened is I started to care about my soul, which was transforming people's lives. I started to care at the end result I'd have with clients. I started to care about the service and the value. When I hooked onto that, I had like boundless motivation, right? At some points, the money was there and the money was exciting or would get me, you know, holidays and whatever. But at some point, it got to an area where it was like, it's not exciting anymore to just make another 100,000, whatever. It's like, it just started to be like, what's the point? What's another, whatever? Like it just started to lose this excitement. So I had to start latching on to like my mission and the bigger legacy and what I'm actually here for as a soul. And like, when I started to do that, again, the motivation was just unexplainable. Like, I don't need to do this right now. I want to because of my mission, right? When I was launching an event, I was last year, I was trying to launch an event and I wanted 33 women to join me. I wanted a larger event. But again, I was 7 weeks into this launch and 7 women had joined me and I did everything and whatever. But what I realized is I actually wasn't even that excited about the event. I didn't even really know why I was running it. I was running it because we had it in the calendar, you know? So within a week before it was happening, I was like, okay, why do I want to do this? Like, what am I excited about with this? I was like, I want to teach a bigger group of women. I want the energetic field of that. And I want to really help transform them with this money stuff I'm going to teach them. Like, and I got excited about me learning more from me teaching, because I often, when I channel and teach, I actually learn more too. And so within 1 week of that, and I did one action, I did one thing, one nudge came up as an inspired action. That's it. Within a week, 33 women joined by that point with keeping into my desire and one action. right? My rods are opening slowly. How can I change it? Is my heart closed? Have you got your rods there now? Is that what you're doing, or are you just saying it? Can you tell me, Dal? So yeah, it'd be cool if you guys are holding them right now and you're like just seeing what's happening in the workshop. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to see you.
So when I saw the video I did right after you, and what happened with me when I was like really in love, I was like, crying, and I could feel it, and the roads moved. And then when I was like sort of repeating what you did, like being sad, upset, and they were closing, but they were not doing, I don't have like a long one, I have short one.
Yeah.
And they were just doing like a not kind of probably mirror that I'm not sure about. Like,
yeah. The rods are just responding to your energy and emotion. So I've done it for a long time, and I can like an actor, like I can just drop into whatever emotion I need when, right? So mine move a lot because I can feel it on demand and I can change it easily.
Yes.
At the beginning, we might, I'm trying to force it, but it's not real, or so as you do it more and you just, and as I said, I think you missed some because you came a bit late, but the other day I was upset and I just held the rod and it was just bang, so like, because I was in that feeling. So you could just do it whenever too. But that's just because you're not feeling it convicted, really yet.
But is there anything I know this is the hard work. Is this anything to open that heart like more?
Yeah, there is. And we're doing it now, but yeah, what I tell you now and will help. But the first part is, and you can watch the replay of what you missed, but
yes,
unanchoring from the fear. So we've got to, to open our energy, we've got to like release the close, So we've got to like unanchor from that. And then we have more energy and power that's open to open, So yeah, but
thank you, Miranda, for everything, and I really appreciate that. This is just amazing. Just love you.
You're such a sweetie. I love you, Kate. It's great to have you on. Love all of you guys. There's so many like familiar faces. I was like, oh, so excited to see you guys. All right, so yes, the key desire, right? There's some examples and experiences. You just, and especially for like your products and offers, and like you need to have a key desire. You need to hook onto something because your energetic propulsion and your, too, like I'm excited by this and I'm energized by it. So hopefully that's coming through. But I've done lives before. I'm like, no, I'm just doing a live, whatever. And people don't see it, or, but when I jump on, I'm super pumped. Or, like it just, energy is infectious. I remember, this is a good example. Like before I even learned all this stuff, I was a health coach at the beginning of my coaching business. I've had it for 9 years now. And this coach told me at the time that I had to do weight loss because, that was meant to make money or whatever. And I didn't want to do weight loss. I cared about my weight when I was like 20. I didn't care about it. When I went through my breakup, it was like, my weight was not what I cared about versus all the other things, right? So I wanted to be a resilience coach. And she's like, no one will buy that, they'll buy weight loss. And I'm like, okay. So I tried to do what she did and it just wasn't working. I wasn't excited about it. I'd made some money, but people probably could tell that I didn't really get, it's like, that's not my thing. It wasn't my mission. It wasn't. And after trying months of this thing that she told me to do, I was like, stuff this. I'm going to go do what I want to do. I'm excited by resilience. I'm excited by the psychology, the energy that I've learned. So I started teaching it. No one knew what I was even selling mostly. Like, they didn't even know what. It was like resilience. Like it was so airy-fairy, But I got so many people joining me and like paying and like, because I was excited. And they're like, oh, they brought into the energy. It's magnetic, right? So when I also just like my last time of running Alchemy, I've had Alchemy, my program, it's my mastermind for 3 years now. And I've run it 8, nearly 9 times in that time, right? Now, if you're going to have a product that you keep selling over years, like you got to keep falling in love with it again. Because like people, you can start not falling in love with it anymore, whatever. So the last time I was going to launch it again, I was like, do I even want to do it? I'm not excited about it anymore. I might end Alchemy now. Like, I don't know. Like, and I tuned in and it was like, no, it's true to do, but I had to change it. I had to change it based on what I was excited about. And I'm excited about women and my relationship to them and them thriving. So I just added more time with me and more relationship in the thing. And then bang, I got excited and it filled up. Right? because I used to be excited by teaching, and I still love teaching, but not like I do my relationship. Even you guys, like I see face, I'm like, oh, Karen's here, you know, Kate's here, like, you know, these people I see, get excited. So right now, I'm going to give you a minute for this thing you want to launch, for this offer, whatever you want to magnetize, whatever you want to manifest. Go back to it, and in this circle now, you're writing your desire and what you would love. Now, when you say what you would love, it's not from fixing, like, just imagine there's no problems in your life. You've got no worries with money and nothing's happening, right? You're just doing what you love for the sake of love. That's it. Not for any other reason. It's just for love, what you would love. Tune into your desire. What do you desire? What's the key desire? What's the key thing that excites you about this, that you're absolutely in love with, and you get goosebumps and excited about it? Right? I'm going to give you a minute to tune in on that. You can have a few things, but what's the key thing? And you can put it in the chat as well if you want, after you've started to see. But what's the thing that wakes you up and, you know, gets you going with it? What's the thing that brings you bliss with this? And yeah, you can write it in the chat if you want, or unmute if you want, or just tell me how that's affecting you also, you know.
Can I say?
Yeah, go for it.
I think my highest excitement is helping people. And it could be in all different ways, you know, health-wise, healthy, like helping with health, helping with body, helping with the changes, just giving people easy life, better life. And I think this is my highest excitement, to just help people.
Beautiful. I want you, after this, like, go really specific in it as well, right? Like go really, like, you got to get to the point where you're like, I am so flipping excited. Like, I could just jump off the rooftop and shout this to everyone. And like on the weekends, like, you know, I used to like not work on the weekends, whatever. I have so much I love in my work now. It's like, I see it so excited. It's like one of the things I love is just researching goddesses, right? And my magnetism measure, it's all about the goddesses and like the energy of the goddess, and, you know, all this stuff. I love it so much. Like, I sit down on the weekend, just like read it. I'd watch docos, like, what, because I just love it, right? So I love that, but I want you to go really deep into, you know, what do you love specifically about it, you know? Because I really love stepping women into their power and their superconscious and their limitless likeness coming online and seeing that complete change in 360, right? I love abundance and magic. I love miracles. Like, I love, and even if they're tiny things, I love miracles coming into my life and clients' life. So go specific, right? That, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
I had the same thing. Like, I believe that magic exists, and I just believe magic is. I used to have magical life, things went upside down and everything was destroyed. But I do believe, because I know magic exists when you're clear on what you want.
Yeah. And yeah, go down that, but again, specific things, and like really, really hook, because, you know, when you imagine it, visualize it, and you go to that place where it's happening, like, you need to be turned on and excited. Sometimes I'll go to that vision where it's happening and I'm like, yeah, I guess so. You know, and it's like, okay, if I've got that energy, something needs to shift, because I'm not turned on, right?
Thank you.
It's not on. I'm not driving anywhere.
Thank you so much. That's a great.
So I can put in the sat nav to go to Bonnie Doon, or like somewhere, you know, I don't know if you guys know Australia, it's like, you know, I mean, it gets a bad rap, but it's a beautiful place. But I could put something, I'm like, I'm not going to drive there. I can't be bothered. I don't like the place. It's meh to me, right? If I go, I'm going to Whitsundays, or I'm going to go to Greece or I'm going to like Maldives. Like I'll flip and play whatever and do whatever to get there. You know, I love it. It's exciting, right? Beautiful. Karen?
So I was going to say, for me, what really drives me is actually having done work with you in the past, is that excitement and energetics around that. I never knew that before I worked with you. It was a completely new thing to me. So I want to bring that to other women. And I
Yeah.
think, and I focus on the menopause side because I think that's a really important part where we start to see all that little soul
Yeah.
shifting stuff happening. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm really excited about creating at the moment.
And like bringing it to you and your life and what you're, you know, because yeah, you may have gone through your experiences, but that's why for me, it's like I get so excited about women's financial empowerment as well as not just their empowerment in general, but their financial, because I've had moments where I was really stuck and really hard, and you know, I really needed support, you know, and I get really excited, and I get excited about developing countries and women with microloans and like getting their businesses going, because I know the community that can affect, and I just know what tuning into the abundance effect can have on people, you know. So again, great to use like your life and yeah, what you really, so I love it, you know, really hook onto those things. We've got here showing people that they have a heart, they can relate the life they want, they're powerful, we are powerful. Yes. Inspiring, enabling, empowering. Yeah, beautiful. So I love what you are all getting. I just want you to be even more specific. Like you literally want to get to a point where you'll get it, where you'll be like, oh my goodness, that's it. I've hit the nail on the head. Like that's it. I love that. That's what excites me. Like, yeah. I never get excited about anything. I really like to get excited. Yeah, you do. You will, hun. But it's more that you just got to uncover what it is, you know. And as you keep exploring, because we all have bliss for something, you know. For me, that's why I like my retreats and stuff so powerful. I love travel and transformation, like growth, are like my two highest loves and values. So putting them together in a retreat, it's like flipping. I go, you should, on a retreat, I am like nuts. Like I go so excited, you know. So yeah, let me know later how you go. But I think you do have it, hun. You haven't uncovered it yet, maybe, or seen it fully. Okay, so let's keep going. Heard that. Cool. All right, last piece here, and then we're going to open to some questions and stuff. So the last key is your key step. Oh, before I say that, I'm going to tell you the pitfalls for this area. So similar, I guess, to what I was saying before, we either don't connect to the excitement, and to not just excitement, we don't connect to love. So particularly for those who are swampers, they often see just that perspective, and they can't see from the high, from their power, from what they love, from the good, from the high vibe. Like they can be in the low, but they can't go on the high and see in the high, right? So what are we going to call them? I don't know. I was going to say the downers, but it sounds, you know, but it sort of is what it is, I guess. Like it's, you're staying down, you're not going up. You might call it something else. If you guys have a better name, that can maybe be rude, but you know, it's sort of, or we have, again, the people who are in denial. They often will try and be up here all the time and in the ether and in the, you know, the spiritual gurus or whatever. They're always trying to be up high in the ethers and whatever, but they're not actually down in the human, and they can't go. So I guess they're the high vibers, you know. So you can reflect on, you know, which one you might tend to be, but it's similar to what we were saying before. Okay, now the last piece here, the key step. So like I said with the car analogy, like you need to know specifically exactly where you are right now. You also need to know exactly the spot where you want to be. And then you need to do things and make steps to get there, right? You need to put fuel in the car. You need to start putting your foot on the pedal, and you need to start driving. Like we don't just teleport, like, you know, you need to be in the energetic excitement. Like, so the step isn't just actions, it's also energetic steps. Like you have to have the fuel, right? So whatever's the next obvious step. And now the sat nav doesn't tell you in 20 kilometers, like in the next 20 steps, do this. It just tells you what the next step is. Imagine a sat nav screaming all the directions at you 20 of them at once and then expecting you to remember in 5. It's like you get overwhelmed, right? It's not how intuition works. It just shows us the next step. That's all you need, right? The obvious next step. And again, as I said, it's an energetic or it's an action. It's not always something that you need to do, or there might not be much to do. Now, before I go into this, I want to tell you the pitfalls and the two people in this one. You're either an over-actioner, like action man or woman, where you just step all over the place and you're taking thousands and you're not even listening to sat nav. You're just driving around everywhere, just trying to figure it all out yourself, right? Driving like a maniac. I've done that one before. I don't know if you have, but you're the action woman or you're the over-actioner, you know? Or you're the no-actioner. You just sit still in the garage, not going anywhere and expecting that God's going to move the car for you and teleport you over there, right? So which one do you reckon you ladies tend to be? You can fall into either category as well. I've done both. But what, do you tend to be, or you're parked? Both action. Yeah. Action, yeah. Yeah, so it's good to know. But, I can fall, I've done both as well. Now, with the next step, I want to tell you this. It can sometimes be the energetic. So sometimes, you doing the key fear and the key desire can actually just be all it needs, and it actually can just come from that. So, for instance, there was a time in my business where I wanted more team members to support me in my business. I had 2, but I wanted more. I wanted sales, I wanted marketing, I wanted another VA, I wanted, but all I did was like make the decision and desire and ask for that. And there wasn't actually any fears I had around it. I just wanted it, I wanted the support. So that's all I did. And then a month later, 8 people had joined my team and I didn't do anything about it. I didn't take any action other than desiring it and intending it. People got referred to me, like they just came, like, it just happened, right? So you can have that happen where you don't actually have to do very much, or it's just an energetic that you're shifting and then, sometimes. But a lot of the time there are some, and I obviously have to act and do some parts to that of just wanting it and, but a lot of the time the steps aren't as many as you think. And they're not as hard as you think. Because if you do the first parts properly of the key fear and the key desire, then the steps in between aren't actually that many. Majority of the time, the reason why there's so many steps and you're taking so many actions is because you're spinning and you're actually not following the sat nav. You're just fucking around and spinning around all the shop, right? So when what's an example of? I had an alchemy launch and I literally, the first time I ever ran alchemy, my key thing that I was told and nudged to do intuitively was to do the energetic work. Every day, I just kept releasing the key fears and hooking onto my key desires. And like every day, that was what I attended to, majority of the day. And then in the whole launch, I did like 2 masterclasses. That was it. That was all I was told to do. So all the actions were really just the key fear, key desire, and then I just did 2 actions. And bang, 10 women came and all this stuff happened, right? When I was running that event that I told you about and there was like no one coming and then 33 women came, I got the nudge to do a giveaway. And it's not that the giveaway's got the power or whatever. I just got the nudge to do it. My intuition told me. I took the step. All these women came through with that little discount thing that I gave and this different way I did it. One time in alchemy, I was just like told to just do a video in my Facebook group and bang, one girl just came from that, or you told to do a post on this. And the funny thing is there was actually this launch. So I had this alchemy launch and this is the last story I'll use on this. I had 10 women join, but I wanted 12 and I felt like 12 were coming. And by the end of the launch, there was still 10 there and not 2 more weren't there. So I just like, okay, what's my next step? What's obvious? Like it was a month before we were starting. And I got from my intuition, it's like, there's nothing you to do. Just wait, do the energetic, and that's it. And so then this random girl came, and she was an amazing client. She's been one of, my best clients. I've had her for years, and I love her to bits. And, she was like toing and froing whether to do it. And, but I still got from my intuition, don't do anything, just sit back. And then I just got like, go out with these clients one night into Melbourne, just go out and have a drink with them and connect with them. And so I did. I just went out with them and connected. Now that, would you think that's got anything to do with this client? No, like you just think I'm whatever. So I went and do it. When we were out, this girl that was looking at my work walked past the exact place where I was at this restaurant. Right at the moment that I went down to meet this client, because I was sitting up somewhere else, she walked past right when I went down to meet her. Now, what's the chance of that? Not only that, the girl that came to meet her and I was there. I had got them on a phone call to talk to each other for her to see what my work's like. So it wasn't just even some random person. It was the girl she'd talked to. Do you guys think that is insane? Like, and she became a long-term client, has been, a soul client of mine, like a soulmate, for years. But I just got a nudge to go do that. I didn't know why, whatever. It had nothing to do with it. But look what happened. Look what our intuition can do, what magic can do, right? The next step doesn't always have to be obvious. But when you follow your nudges, it's powerful, right? I'll tell you one last example. I didn't even know about this energy work, but at the beginning of my business, I, believed in God, and I was like, God, tell me what to do. I don't flipping know what to do, whatever, like universe, God, like tell me. I have no idea. And I just got this feeling that I should go to this networking meeting. This was like the first year of my business. So I went there, and I was at this event and meeting people. And then at the end of it, there was like nothing happened. And I was like, why am I here? My son was like 5 months old. I'm like, I'm not going to these events for no reason. Like, I went to the toilet. I'm like, God, universe, like, why am I here? Like, why have you sent me here? Got out of the toilet. This guy was nearby. He was connected to this radio station. I started chatting to him. He invited me to another event the next week. And I went to this event with the radio station. And I ended up meeting a woman there who gave me a whole year's worth of clients. She was a partner, worked with me, and she just gave me a whole year worth of clients, right? I didn't know why I was meant to go to this networking thing, but I met this person that met that person that I can't work that out, but my intuition knows the steps. It knows the road to take. I don't, right? So before we wrapping up, I want you to finish this last piece here. I want you to imagine and just teleport now to the moment in time where you have created the thing that you want, this thing that you've been looking at. Go forward in your future where you've created it. You've manifested it. It's yours. And I want you to look back to where you used to be, that old reality when you were in Miranda's workshop, that old climb, and ask yourself, what was that next step from over here in the vision when you've already created it? Embodying that, look back at where you used to be. What was that next step that you took? The energetic or the action. What was that next step? The key next step. And whatever you get, write it down. And you can write it in the chat or put it in there. When I take actions, I need to energetically connect first, so I'm connected on an emotional level. Yeah, awesome. Love that. Being 100% clear on what I want. Yes. Just put in the chat what else you got. Sleep. Yes. that can be too, like needing rest, sleep, you know, your intuition knows what you need. Yeah. Beautiful. Take my office work stuff out of the bedroom. Yes. Powerful. And sometimes we don't know where these are going and why or whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, those actions I told you, like, I didn't know why half of them were what I was told or if they'd lead anywhere or, you know, but they are what we get. And we've got to follow them. And it can be, as I said, an energetic as well. So key fear. No, I love that, Tracy. That's awesome. Key fear, key desire, key step. Key fear, key desire, key step. Key fear, key desire, key. That's it. Every day, most times a day, not all the time, but many different points. If I'm blocked in a choice of I'm trying to create a manifest, whatever, that's what I do. I could try and tell you it's more complex or whatever. Like, you know, there's lots of tools I use and there's deeper things to it. I've studied this for 5 years of this version of this, but I've been in my business for 9. So there's obviously lots to all of this and there's more tools, but that's the structure. And we want to make it difficult and complicate, whatever, but it's actually, some of you are like, oh, I was wanting it to be more difficult. Like, that's it, right? The difficulty is your ego doesn't want you to create these things. It's scared out of its wits for you to create all this stuff. It's going to hold you back and resist you every step of the way. And it's going to resist you by not letting you go into the fear or keeping you stuck there, or by not going to the desire or keeping you stuck there, or by not going into the action, you know, or taking a heap to action that's irrelevant, right? That's where the problems are. So that's awesome. I love that you got to chill with that. But the reason why I've worked on this for so many years and I've deep dived and I've got all these tools and things is because our ego is sneaky as all hell, you know, and it's trying to protect you and keep you alive, which means you don't go for what you want. You don't go for your heart. You don't go for what you love, because that's new, and new is scary. The old, the abuse, the abandonment, the lack, there's no money, that's old and that's safe. So some of you have maybe looked at some of this stuff where you've done coaching, or for years, right? And I wasn't breaking through. Why? Because this ego and the lack and the fear is so dominant that it's weighted in that, you know, and so it's not letting us open our energy. So why have I studied this for so long? Why have I spent so much on mentors? Why have I got a coach still for 5 years and the same stuff, even though it seems simple? Because I know I've got a propensity and a default to go down the past and to keep repeating and to not change. And I know I need someone like to keep me on track. I know I need this work deeply to keep me, because I care about my heart. And I want to say yes to my heart. I want to say yes to my son's heart. I want to say yes to my clients' hearts. I want to say yes to love, you know. I want to say yes to power. And unless I do that, I will not. Right? So while I'm saying this, I'd love you to put in your key takeaway. What have you taken out of it? But I also just want to be honest with you too and say, like, I've literally tried to pour out. I've sat for a long time and like really intuitively try to tune in, like, what do you need? And if I was to condense everything I know, like, I try to give you like the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, right? But I need to be honest with you too, in that, you know, it's not likely that everyone's going to then be able to go now and just go bang, create. You'll get shifts and you'll get massive transformations, but that ego will try to resist you every step of the way. And I know this from years and years and clients of thousands of hours and money, and like, you know, I know it, right? So I want to offer you something if you feel the call and you would like to explore it. I hope the thing that you see with me is that I care about people and that I always work with my intuition. So if you feel any drawing to my work or the way I'm sharing, or, you know, you want to explore anything and you're intuitively feeling anything, I'd love you to, put a yes in the chat and just tell me, like, are you interested in exploring? Do you want to know more? Do you want to look at how can I keep going for my heart and keeping on track with your, you know, your support? There's different varying degrees of my support. But I just want to briefly tell you the ways that I can support people right now. There's 2 main ways, and then we're going to go into Q&A. So So the first way is my alchemy mastermind. I mentioned it a few times tonight. It's like my baby that I have loved and nurtured for years. The reason I love it, as I said to you so much, is because it's really the way of intimacy with me. And I've found in my journey that the real transformation I've had is the intimacy I've had with my coaches and my mentors and the relationship we've had together and that close support. So alchemy is that for me. I love my clients so dearly. They all love each other so much. There's a circle of women who just back each other in every step of the way and provide support and accountability. And that is what's required for this ego work that's constantly resisting. And it also has the depth of my insight of after the 8-9 years of working in this space, the hundreds of thousands of dollars I've spent on mentors and programs. It's the most condensed, refined, all of my teaching on the superconscious, on deep emotional work, on the embodiment side, on business and intuitive business and money. It's everything. So if anyone wants info on alchemy, just put a yes, or alchemy in the chat would be great. It's 6 months. It's an incredible thing that I love, and I love running, and I find incredible, powerful changes. So you can put that in there if you want. But the other thing as well is the second way is my magnetism program. And magnetism is a membership. So it's a monthly call, and that is where we perfect and dive deep into the energy of the goddess. And the goddess is basically your divine power, your birthright as a divine being. And it's helping you activate your superconscious power through embodying the goddess in all these different archetypes. And each month we work on a different archetype. Each month we work on a different set of powers that are required to embody, to create more abundance, to build more love. And it's the lowest sort of investment, easiest way to work with me as well. But it's incredibly powerful. It's stuff that I've done years of work in and really, really love. And people get magical results with it as well. So if you want, info on magnetism, just put magnetism in the chat as well. So while you're doing all that, doing that, as I said as well, it's just you're wanting to explore it. I'll send the info, right? It's nothing more. I don't push anything ever. So you can put that in the chat if you want, or message me as well. Now, I would love to open up to Q&A while whoever's writing in there. And I have a few minutes, to answer any questions, give you any support coaching that you need. So I've got Kate's hand. So Kate, go for it, hun.
Yes. I think that was about what we talked today, about my excitement. And it is interesting because I said I love helping people, but just recently I have organized a little workshop, and I think it did, it was great. I had 10 people, but what happened afterwards, the massive judgment on myself, it diminished my power inside of me. And I was very aware of that. I could not even sleep with it, almost like 10 people telling me, who are you today, doing like that?
Yeah.
That excitement is disappearing. And when you said excitement, I felt like so empty. I was just thinking, fuck, how am I going to find excitement anymore? Because, that purity that I feel love for people, just like taken by ego.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Del. I hear you. So you feel like you were triggered.
What happened?
What happened? Triggered, and that they judged you, and then that affected your excitement.
I think the silence conversation, my judgment on me, because I thought I could do this better. I could do this way. I could do that way. And
did they actually judge you, or you were imagining this? Did anyone?
I was imagining.
I
had little feedback, but I was aware that I was like having expectation. This should be like such great things, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It always. And I'm going to do this next Thursday as well, and my energy is so low.
Yeah, and I hear you, hon. I hear you. So something that there's lots of different tools for this. Now, as I said, this is the core structure, but there's so many things I teach around it, right? Now, one thing that I think would be really beautiful for you for this next week is, when you I don't know if you saw the guidance scale, but it's got the high vibrational frequency of emotions within them.
Mhm.
Compassion is a very high level of frequency emotion.
Yeah.
And compassion is like a loving balm and like a milk of human kindness, of the mother's milk, like
Mhm.
that soothes any wound and pain, and, you know, like just that unconditional love, right? And so what's happened is you've had judgment and like come up within yourself, and the inner critic's been heightened. Your ego's been just attacking because it doesn't want you to move forward. So it is trying to show up every reason, right? And so what I want you to do is like listen to the fear, listen to the ego, like listen to the judgments, like let it say things, and you can imagine it even as like your inner child, like saying what she's sad and disappointed, whatever. And then you hold like that. And I actually say it out loud. I do this out loud as well. It's really powerful. You can write it, but I think it's powerful out loud. And then imagine being the compassionate, like loving, unconditionally loving, like super conscious force, and just love her and speak back love to her. Now, don't invalidate and say, no, don't feel that. You know, it's like when I'm talking to my son, I don't go, no, don't feel that silly. Like I just love on him. I observe it and I say, I'm sorry that you're feeling this. And, you know, I just witness it. And then I start telling him the high truth when he's felt heard, right? So let her speak and love her and like witness and say, I'm so sorry you had this, you know, and then start showing her the high real truth. Because I actually did this. I learned this practice when my son was 6 months old, and I was so horrible to myself. I hated myself. I judged myself so much with the expert and a breakup. And I just every day, many times a day, this is actually the first model I ever learned and had to practice. Like, and it's within 6 months of doing this, my whole life changed, you know, because I just was flooding myself with love and compassion constantly. And I imagined my son saying the things because I had a lot of love for him. And I imagine him going through it. And then I just pour my love back. I couldn't do it for myself at the time because I had such self-loathing. I can now. But at the time, I had to imagine him going through it, and I would speak back to him.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much.
So do that this week, and just everything that comes out of it, just keep doing that, and you'll notice. And the amazing thing about compassion is if you think a child and you know, they want to, children who are loved and have a really beautiful attachment, right? They explore and they go for it and they go nuts. When I have love me and I am compassionate to me, I go crazy with my business because it doesn't matter if people don't like it or I fail. It doesn't matter. I love me and I'm going to love me and I'm going to be there. So it's like, go for it, you know, and often I'll achieve more but it's not an expectation and attachment. When I'm hating on myself and I'm so critical and like, I won't do anything, or I'll do it and I'll just like then retract for 3 months. And it's like, so pour that in you, hon, and you'll go on fire.
I felt like, you know, I could really go underground and just be in a hiding. That's how I was witnessing.
And that's what it is. You're feeling shame. Remember the frequency?
From childhood.
And so you want to hide. Shame, every emotion tells us an action, and shame tells you to hide and run away and stop and give up and right. Whereas when you go like love it and you keep bringing compassion, it starts to slowly move and it starts to come back up to compassion, and then you'll go again, you know, and then you'll get hurt.
Thank you so much.
Tell me how you go. Love to hear.
Appreciate that.
Great question though. Firstly, love this. So simple but very insightful. Thank you for the transmission. Oh, that's awesome. Secondly, notice in the only guy among the lovely ladies. I do have men come sometimes as well. But yeah, for tonight, you are the only one. And it happens a lot. I ended up in the kind of environments, consider myself masculine, but you kind of speak my language. Do you have any idea why that would be? So, I mean, we all equally have masculine and feminine energies within us. Every woman, man, like who, you know, non-binary, whatever it is, like we all equally have masculine and feminine. So, yeah, and actually what happens is we often have a trauma around an energetic. So for me, I was very masculine for the first 33 years of my life because I had a trauma in the feminine. My mom and my grandma weren't safe for me, and there was things that happened. And so I felt like they were weak and they were powerless, or they didn't create what they wanted. So I didn't then use my feminine a lot because I had all these beliefs and things around it. Now, I could have a whole nother class on the energetics of the masculine and feminine and the law of gender, because there's a whole law in the manifesting world of that. What was happening and why my life was so challenged for 33 years was because I was trying to operate with one arm and one part of my body, right? And so what I had to do is start to heal the feminine and start to work on this side of me. And then what happened was I started to love the feminine, hated the masculine, and I started then hating on all this, like, and so I just operated in this part, you know, and then I had to go, hang on, no, there's a whole healthy spectrum here. And our health is to be able to move fluidly with what we need when. My business doesn't thrive from just sitting there meditating all the time. Like, it's a big part of it, but I also need to take action. You know, to get you guys here, there was things I had to do. My masculine warrior energy had to come in. And that's why I love the magnetism work I do, because each archetype has a different flavor. And it's like when we actually can work with all of them is when our life thrives. So yeah, I love that you wrote that question. If you need any more clarity, let me know. But I think you've got a healthy masculine developed, and you also have your feminine, which, you know, there are men out there who don't, and there's women who don't have, you know, we all have it, but it's really healthy and amazing that you're tapped into that as well. And also, like, the fact that you're really into personal development, and, you know, it can typically be that men, you can sometimes not be as well. So yeah, but thanks for being here. I do get, as I said, men here as well. It's very, very powerful, beautiful energy when we have them. Anyone else have a question? Or do we feel complete? Complete. Okay. No one else wants a question. You can always send me a message or something. I always love chatting Messenger and things too. I've just put again the link. This is the magnetism link. Now, I forgot to say too that magnetism, you actually get 1 month free at the moment to explore it and actually get the taste of it and really see, you know. So that's not going to happen forever. So jump on and have a look at that. And if you have questions and things, but yeah, whoever said, you know, alchemy and magnetism, I'll reach out and chat as well. But it's, I'm just so glad that you are here. Thank you for your time. I always appreciate your presence and time. I know it's your most precious resource, so I'm really appreciative of you being here as well. And yeah, if you ever have any questions or just want to reach out, always love hearing from you. So reach out. Yeah. Lots of love, everyone. Have a great night. Ciao, ciao. Bye.